So, hello my friends, how are you? It's been quite a while since the last video, and I'm sure you've been hearing that a lot in the recent videos, but at the time of this video, session recording is over. So, I was actually, this past weekend, finished up, and I didn't make a video because I was resting, quite honestly, and I still had stuff going on. So, this video is going to be for the end of session recording. I won't get into too many specific things because, to be quite honest, I can't remember too many specific things. I learned stuff and I remembered stuff. I know how to do stuff. But as far as actual happenings, you know what I mean. So bear with me. I understand. I sucked at making the videos this past month, but let me tell you, when you get to that class, when you get to session recording, you'll understand because God, it's just the course instructor was just so hardcore. It was ridiculous, and apparently this month, a lot of my friends either took a month off or one way or another ended up back in that class. Well, not back in that class, but just a month behind because none of my friends failed the class, but some of them just ended up falling a month behind because of whatever. And apparently it's a lot easier this month, and I don't know if that's because too many people bitched about how hard it was, or if it was something that they had planned on doing. I don't know what it was, but apparently it's easier now. But I passed the class with an unofficial grade of an 87.5 or something. High 80 grade, so that's another B plus, which is the same thing I got in audio post. And I was expecting around an 82. The last couple labs were really easy. I think, we did the deliverables, and so we had the last week, basically, the second to last lab was a mixing lab, and essentially it was in the audio temple, and we had, I wouldn't say a new lab tech, but it was a guy that we'd never had before that month, and he was really cool, really awesome, had some sweet tattoos. And basically, he was mixing stuff, and he was showing us some different mixing techniques, some different ways to use all the outboard gear. So it was just a mixing lab with the lab tech. And so that was pretty cool. And then we did that, and after we came back from break, we reviewed, for the lab practical. The lab practical had 10 questions. It had 10 items, or a list of 10 things that we had to do. And, it was put the dynamic mic this far in front of the source, put the condenser mic, use the 3-to-1 rule to put the condenser mic where it needs to go from the same sound source, plug those mics in a certain point on the mic panel, had to patch in some outboard gear, route stuff certain ways, and just a culmination of all the things that we'd learned from that month. The main thing that we had to take away, though, the main grading point was was how to patch. He really wanted to make sure that we knew where we were patching. I ended up getting my test in Studio B, which is the SSL room, and I was actually happy about that. I like the SSL room a lot better than the AMEC, because the patch bay is a lot less confusing to me for some reason. So I was fortunate in that aspect, that I got the studio that I wanted to be in. So that was nice, because the practical exam is either in Studio A or Studio B. You don't know. Everything that you do is exactly the same. It's just they have different names for it for each different one. So that's really the only difference. But I was more comfortable with the SSL room, Studio B, so that was good. And I made a 100 on the lab practical, so that was, yes, that was a fine moment indeed. And what else? So the lab practical went phenomenally well. We had a half hour to do 10 things, and I didn't think it'd take as long as it did, but I had 5 minutes left. Well, for the last 10 minutes, I was double checking everything because I was paranoid. You know what I mean? How you're done and you're feeling pretty confident, but then you double check everything and you start second guessing yourself. Well, that's kind of what I got into, and everything was fine. Except, and I'm glad that I got into that type of a mindset of the double check, because I wasn't getting signal from my dynamic mic into the channel path of the console. I was like, why am I not getting signal? And then finally it hit me, I've got to activate the routing matrix. I mean, it was retarded. So don't forget to activate your routing matrix if you're on the SSL. I forgot to do that, and I didn't forget because I remembered at the last minute, but I almost forgot to do that. So I was pretty fortunate in that aspect. So that was, I guess, kind of lucky a little bit. But I made 100 on it, which is really cool. There was some tricky patching stuff with the patch bay. Like, they didn't tell us to, like, for example, I had to plug in the dynamic microphone into, I think it was number 26. We'll say that it was number 26 on the mic panel. I can't really remember. But we had to, basically, he had the console mapped out. Like, he had already had the tape on there with the names of what was supposed to be on what channel on the console. And they didn't tell us to, but we had to patch the microphone from the mic panel number over into the channel that it was supposed to go to. So that was a little tricky, but I figured it out. Everything else is pretty straightforward, really easy, nothing that hard at all. So yeah, it was pretty good. Ugh. I cut myself. I was shaving my face earlier, and I nicked myself. It happens. What can I say? Oh, it stings though. Fuck. Anyway, so as far as the lectures went, we were all pretty much just ready to get the hell out of there, because, I mean, somehow, I don't know how, but I did all the study guides. This past Saturday was the final exam. The Saturday before that was quiz number 4. And I had accidentally slept in late that day, and I was late to class, and I missed the quiz. So I had to stay after school. I think I might have talked about this already. Anyhow, I missed one of the quizzes, and I had to make it up, and so you took 15 points off. I got like a 75 on that one, or an 80. What did I get? I got like a 75 on that one because I was late that day, and it took points off for me being late. I somehow got a 0 on the study guide. No, what was it? I got a 95 on that. Oh, shit, I can't remember how it was. Anyhow, it was just ridiculous. Somehow the last 2 study guides I got 0s on for literally having one little mistake. But that's the name of the game in that class. But the other 3, I got 100s on. The first 3 I got 100s on. The last 2 I got 0s on, which was really strange. The last quiz I did horribly on. I got like a 55 on the last quiz. Like, I was just not prepared for it. But then the quiz before that I did really well on. And then I got an 88 on the final exam, which was 55 questions, I do believe, and it was Scantron. And by the time of the final exam, we'd excuse me. So by the time of the final exam, we'd gone through a mastering lecture. Like, we learned kind of the basics of mastering, and I had finished up music business that Monday. And this was all last week. Right now, it's Tuesday, not August, but I guess technically it's Wednesday, August 1st right now, because it just turned midnight. But anyhow, this past week, the last week number 4 of month, whatever this is. And so yeah, we had our mastering basics lecture, and then we had a review lecture, and then the final exam. So so we got to review and all that. The Scantron test was like a joke, basically. I mean, I got an 88 on it. That's pretty good. That's not the best. It's not what it could have been, but I mean, in terms of just not freaking out and not stressing out during the test, it was the easiest one, because by that point we'd had 5 totally complete fill in the blank stuff. And we had to write out the signal flow every single time, And so for the final exam, it was multiple choice, fill in the bubble. We did not have to write out signal flow, so it was just a whole lot easier in terms of just not freaking out and not stressing out or anything. So that was really nice. And then so the mix competition, I'm sure I've mentioned it before. I did not end up entering, just because, well, now it's like, now looking back on it, it's like, well, I could have, but at the time it was just, I felt like I was so tired, and I couldn't give any more than I was. And that was partially due to my lab schedule. I had the shittiest lab schedule I've ever had. And I mean, and I was already doing, or beginning to do, a lot outside of school as well. So I just had a lot going on. I was feeling stressed as it was. I did not like the course instructor director. Mind you, the guy knew his stuff. He knew what he was talking about, but he was a dick, man. Like, it was bad. Like, you can ask me, and I was freaking out and stressing out about it. When I was done with the class, that's what I was doing. Not during the class. So look out for session recording, because the instructor is, well, you'll see. So, whoa, deja vu all of a sudden. That's weird. Anyhow, what was I getting at? Yeah, so the mixed competition, I didn't end up entering. Thought I wanted to, but it came down to the minute, and I didn't have all the stuff I needed, so I couldn't do it anyway. And I mean, maybe those are just excuses that I'm coming up with now to feel better about it, but I admit, no, I should have put in the extra effort, and I should have done it, but I didn't, and that I've just got to live with that, you know. Anyhow, we had about 80 people in the class, and only one person entered the mixed competition. One person out of 80 people did, or entered their mix into it. So we didn't even listen to his mix because he won by default, and he got the extra 10 points. So basically, the hardest class that we've had to date ended on a very sour note of getting lectured about how none of us are going to make it in the industry if that's the attitude that we carry. And what I mean by that is, if we carry the attitude of not doing anything extra on top of everything else, then we're not going to make it at all. And we might as well not try to get into it. So that was very depressing, because Ken was like mad disappointed that only one person entered the mixed competition, because like our class had so much potential or something, and it was just a bunch of wasted potential, as he put it. So it was just a bittersweet day, because it was like, on the one side it was like, yes, I'm finally out of that damn class, and on the other side it was like, we felt fucking bad, because I mean, he basically pulled the guilt trip and made us feel like crap, because none of us did it. And mind you, we should have entered, yeah, but I mean, we didn't, and we have to live with that. I mean, people have their various reasons. I have mine, or so I'm telling myself. So, I mean, it is what it is. It sucks, but that's how it is. But on a positive note, I did pass the class with a B+, and I passed music business with an A+. So I'm not fretting too hard. I did okay. I'm totally reamped and everything, and trying to do as good as I can this month, even though I still have lots of stuff going on. So yeah, as for the end of month number 13, I think it was, session recording, music business, it set the standard. It was the last class for the people doing the associates program. I know some people that did graduate with the associate's degree in recording arts or something. I'm saying that funny, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, it kind of set the standard of just the amount of, not getting sleep, learning how to function and think and go without much sleep. And learning, how much hard work you have to put in this stuff, and just things like that. It kind of set the new standard for what's expected out of us. So, I'm not fretting. Like I said, I'm not freaking out. I'm not being too hard on myself. I'm not being down on myself, because at the time, while it was happening, I gave it the best I could, and that's that. So I'm not going to worry about anything. I got a B+ in the class. I'm happy. And I got 100 on the practical, which is like the more important thing of everything that we learned. So I figure that's something to be proud of too. Anyhow, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a wrap. I'll see you in about 2 minutes with the next video, because I'm going to keep them rolling tonight. This month I am able to make them every day, basically, so I'm going to really try and do that, as I keep saying. But this month my schedule. We'll discuss it in the next video. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging with me this month. I know it was really sparse. There were very few videos this month, but if you end up getting a session recording yourself, trust me, you'll figure out why. It's one hell of a ride, that's for sure. So I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take it easy. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe and all that. If you dig the videos and you dig the inside scoop and whatnot. Friend me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/FairAusOpus, just like it is here on YouTube, and all that. So, yeah, I'll see you guys around. Later.